focuses on research studies under water, land use, and agricultural policies, and under that, her specialized areas in research includes the integrated water resource management, climate change, agricultural resources, of environmental related issues. Ms. Munavirge's current research endeavors aims to enhance the understanding of how economic incentives impact the supply of agricultural products and the interplay between agricultural production and environmental sustainability. Ms. Munavirge, over to you.
Thank you and good morning all of you. So, okay, after listening to a series of presentations on how we have done our research and what are our main findings, main focus of my presentation is how farmers have adapted to those climate changes and what are the policy implications that we have derived from our research findings. So, as I said, main focus of this presentation is what is the level of farmer awareness on climate change, as Dr. Shiromani explained, and all of us are talking about like these forums, climate change is happening, we have to adapt. And then we wanted to know how farmers have understood this climate change. And then we are going to talk about find about how they have adapted into this perceived climate change and what are their strategies and the policy implications. So up to now we have discussed it is important Sri Lanka is vulnerable to climate change and our agriculture sector is specifically vulnerable, and dry zone people are very targeted group of these climate change impacts, and we need to do this adaptation, and government and NGOs and all the stakeholders are talking about this adaptation and taking policy initiatives and programs at the field level to increase this adaptation and increase the resilience of these vulnerable communities. And to promote these successful adaptations in agriculture sector, we have to understand that it is important to understand this farmers' perception of climate change and ongoing adaptation measures and how they are making the decisions on how to adapt. Those are very important, I think. Even though we are talking about this adaptation, we have to understand how farmers have get that information. So, and also it is important to promote these climate adaptive practices. These effective policy instruments are very important. So, objective of my presentation is to understand how farmers' perception of climate change and examine how household adaptation strategies are taking place at the field level, and explore the relationship between socio-economic factors and farmers' adaptation behavior, and provide policymakers and the practitioners with insight to develop targeted interventions that promote the resilience of the agriculture sector in Sri Lanka. And for this one, we have this descriptive and multiple linear regression analysis. I'm not going to talk more about this, how we have done the analysis. We are mainly focusing on our findings and what are the policy implications. So first we were asked about, as I said in the introduction, how these farmers have understood this climate change. We have asked whether they are aware of this term climate change, and irrespective of the districts, 83% of the farmers are aware about this term climate change. That is not the correct, accurate definition for the climate change, but they have some sense of what is climate change, and they have gained this knowledge through specifically the media, that is television, TV, the radio programs and newspapers. And I would like to highlight here that the knowledge they have gained through extension training is very limited. That is, we can highlight that farmers have not gained a proper understanding of the climate change in the form of formal information. And then, as Dr. Shiromani explained in her presentation very nicely, this climate change, how it is happening, and the temperature variations and rainfall variations, we were asked about farmers whether they have perceived any change in their climate. during last 20 years. We have asked with what are the changes that you have experienced in your climate related to last 20 years. And in here we have listed what they have observed. As Dr. Shiromani explained, they also experience the changes in the rainfall pattern and temperature, changes in the temperature and occurrence of extreme events as well. But the majority experience that changes in the rainfall and the extreme events. Specifically in Kilinochchi and Batticaloa people, they have recently they have experienced high occurrence of droughts and floods, as well as the rainfall variabilities. Then I think this is the most important part, how households have adapted into these changes. In this, for the easiness of the understanding, I have divided this adjustment that they have made in their activities into two broad components, like what they have done for their farm and crop management practices, and then the water management practices. I think water is the main critical agriculture input in terms of climate change as well. So how they have adapted into these two broad components, specifically for the Yala and Maha seasons. In this one, it says how they have adapted to the Maha season. Maha season, as Shant explained in his representation, Yala is the main rainy season of Sri Lanka. So what they have, most of them have done was shifting their cropping season based on the rainfall and initiate their land preparation with onset of the rainfall. And adherence of other thing I have in here mentioned that in the 0.9 advanced crop establishment methods and following minimum tillage practices, those of things are very limited in this area. When we go to the agriculture water management, these are the responses reported by the farmers. What I wanted to highlight here is those are very limited number of farmers have adapted to this improved water management practices in their field. Even though we are talking about we have to increase the water efficiency and all, at the field level, the farmers have not gone into that level of adaptation in the real situation. So this is related to Yala season, which is the water scarce season in Sri Lanka. But they have, most of them have done was go to short duration crop varieties. And then they have specifically 63% of the people have reported they have initiated land preparation onset of the rainfall, because Poraragala is one of the driest district in Sri Lanka. What they have done was they have adjusted their planting based on this rainfall. And those others, it is same. They have the number of adaptations that they have adapted are very limited when it comes to advanced crop technologies or technological know-how. We have to highlight that part. When it goes to the water management, it's same. But they have done was they have using a mulch or something like that. That is the strategy that they have mentioned most. In here, then you may have the question how we have selected these strategies. We have asked farmers different set of strategies that we have introduced and we are promoting. But those are the strategies that farmers have actually implemented in the field. So they may not be the most suitable thing when it comes to the climate change adaptation. So for the easiness of understanding, I have put this into a graphical form in terms of total sample. It's this, in both Maha, what they have done in Maha season, Yala season, in terms of total sample, what they have done was changing their cropping season based on the rainfall, onset of the rainfall, and they have gone for the short duration crops and drought tolerant varieties, and crop diversification and following minimum tillage practices are also very low in the field level. This is same. Improved water management practices, I think Department of Agriculture promoting this alternative wetting and drying in the rice cultivation. None of the farmers have adapted this kind of things in the field, and this also included the parachute and those kind of improved technologies. That the adaptation of farmers are very low in these 4 districts in terms of agricultural technologies. And growing cover crops, improved irrigation methods like sprinkler irrigation, micro drip irrigation, it is very low. So this is the reality in the field. So then we wanted to know how farmers have decide whether to adapt or not. We have done a regression analysis. We wanted to find out whether there is any statistical relationship between farmers' adaptation and the level of education, income, age, and all characteristics. So in this study, what we have done was some farmers have adapted more than 1-2 adaptation strategies in the field with the comments from the guidance of the field level officers. We have ranked those adaptation strategies and we allocated a weight for each strategy and prepare an index, and when they run the regression against that index. So what we have found was, interestingly, the regression results show that awareness of the climate change and receipt of climate information, early climate information, and participation of climate change adaptation programs within women-headed households and membership in societies show a positive relationship between the adaptation. So, in a simple term, if they have received climate-related information in earliest possible, they have made some adjustment to their cultivation practices, and they have gone for some adaptation programs. And women-headed households, they have show the positive relationship. I think we can explain this like that. The women-headed household, they have very limited opportunities to go beyond their location or household level, and they have to do best in their agricultural activities to survive. So then there is a more tendency to adaptation strategies. And specifically, when we consider about the regional variation in adaptation, Kilinochchi shows the highest level of adaptation, and Monaragal district shows the least level of adaptation. And Monaragal, obviously, the education level and the, I think, poorest district in Sri Lanka is Monaragal. So they have these resource limitations and all. That's why I think they have less adapted compared to other districts. As a conclusion, I would like to say, as I discussed earlier, farmers have made adaptation that requires low technological know-how and low investment capacities. So that is why I think they have gone for the shifting cultivation rather than going to invest in drip irrigation or sprinkler irrigation. So it implies that there is a necessity to increase in investment in rural agriculture development related to agriculture actions to empower households to make location-specific strategies, long-term decisions for their future well-being, if we are talking about the resilience of the agricultural communities in the long term. So autonomous adaptation is not adequate in this situation, so support from the government, NGOs and the private sector is crucial to shift these farmers from this autonomous adaptation to long-term strategies promoting resilience through asset accumulation, livelihood diversification and adapted to profitable agricultural technologies in the future. So with that, I would like to move on what are the policy suggestions that we have derived from our study. First, we would like to say it is important to increase the capacity in the relevant these stakeholders, invest in farm education and training. We have in our regression also shows that if the farmers have proper training and the awareness on these things, they have higher tendency to adapt to climate change adaptation strategies. So it is important to introduce them with high technological know-how and skill training, resources to implement climate resilient practices, and educate farmers to make cultivation decisions based on early warning or weather forecast systems. It is important and to make sure that farmers receive those early warning messages to plan their agricultural activities accordingly. And then financial support for adaptation, it is almost important because most of them have gone for low investment adaptation strategies because of their resource limitations and all. Therefore, in our research, we would like to recommend the necessity of increasing the financial support for these adaptation measures. Like subsidizing climate resilient technologies and providing low interest loans. And it is important to highlight that the farmers who are having this agricultural insurance are very low in our sample. So we recommend it is important to increase this weather-based insurance or like insurance schemes to mitigate risk associated with this upcoming climate hazards. And the community-based adaptation, it is important and encourage and support community-driven adaptation initiatives, foster collaboration between government agencies, NGOs and communities to develop these context-specific strategies that align with the needs of the priorities of the farmers. This should be the location-specific interventions. And enhancing women's economic participation, we have seen in Mr. Shanta's presentation that the higher number of women are in these study locations who are in these economic active populations are jobless. So, and even in the field and the informal discussions, the female farmers highlighted the need of the income, job opportunities for them that they can do within their household or within their village. So in Monaragala, Kilinochi and those areas, those opportunities are very limited. So in this research highlighted the importance of creating those job opportunities for the women and for the youth who are leaving the school, for not adhering to the agriculture, they need other income diversification. And infrastructure development also important to increase the resilience in this climate change scenario. And policy integration across sectors are very important. We have to, in our national agricultural policy and climate change adaptation policy, environment policy, and all these policies have included this climate change adaptation and importance of adaptation into their policy agendas. But we would like to highlight the necessity of this, the collaboration between all these policies, and implementing inclusive and gender sensitive policies are also important for when we talk about the gender equity and enhancing women empowerment and building the resilience in these rural agrarian communities, especially in terms of women. And monitoring and evaluation framework is all we should have strengthened. We all very aware that government and the other stakeholders are implementing different climate adaptation strategies and programs in the field level. But it is important to get the progress and the monitoring of this. What is the progress of these programs in terms of climate change adaptation? To what extent these programs have been able to achieve the targeted objectives? So international cooperation, it is very important. Engage in international collaboration to share best practices, technologies and financial resources. I think all of us are well aware that there is a huge dialogues developing in the world, in global arena on this climate change. We can harness this potential. So in terms of climate adaptation, we would like to highlight the importance of this international cooperation as well. So that is the main key policy points, I think, from this audience. We can improve this, and we highly encourage you to participate and give your expert knowledge to improve this our findings and the specifically the policy recommendations. That is our main objective of this program as well. We would like to improve this one with your expertise comments. And thank you very much.